Welcome to the Code with Jason meetup. Today is another SaturnCI day. Sanjit, I'll show you what I worked on last time. It's kind of an interesting bug. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So the bug is this. First, I'll take away the buggy behavior. I'll stash these changes. Okay, so you can see, Sanjit, if I scroll this pane, it only scrolls the pane and the nav is sticky. So if I do a git stash pop, now if you look to the scroll bar, Sanjit, see right now the scroll bar only extends just below this dark gray bar. When I refresh the page, the scroll bar goes all the way to the top, and when I scroll, the nav goes with it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not staying in the same place. That's what you mean, yeah?
Exactly. So that's
Okay.
the bug. And in the last session, I spent a lot of time writing a test that will fail when this bug is present. So I'm going to run this test and it'll pull up the browser and we can see the manner in which it fails. Okay, so this test simply asserts that this black area is scrollable, which
Yeah.
it is not. Okay, and so if I let this test continue, it fails. And I've already verified that when the bug is absent, the test passes. So now the question is, what is the bug? So here's what's different between this time and last time. And so obviously the bug lies somewhere in this change. So I made a change to a controller that's probably not related. I made this change to DOM, and I suspect that that is it. Either that or this. And then let's see, the other change is just the test. So let's see. I surrounded build details content with this turbo stream. And here I replaced build details content with this turbo frame tag. Oh, I see. Okay, this turbo stream file is just brand new. This is all new, and this is a change. So I bet this is the culprit. Let's test and see whether that is in fact the case. Okay, so I'll do a git diff on this file. All right, so before it was like this. And I can't copy paste out of here. Let's try this. There we go. So before I had this, and let's see if that makes the bug go away, and it does. Okay, so we found the culprit. Question is, what do we do about it? Here's one thing we can try. Oops. Okay, and obviously we can't have this in both places. I'm not crazy about this name, but for at least the moment, I'll call it build details content inner. Okay, and there's no scroll bar. Let me open that other turbo stream file. Let's see, it's called create turbo stream. Build details content inner. Oh, and this has div build details content. I see. Oh, well, let's take that part away. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, still doesn't work. All right, let's Let's undo to where we were before. Okay. What is actually output by this turbo frame tag here? Let's see. Build details content. Okay. Hmm. So instead of a div called build details content, it does a turbo frame. Let's look at the CSS and see how we are styling build details content. Okay. Well, this is looking for a class called build details content. Yeah, interesting. So inside the turbo frame, is there actually a div with that class? Um, let's see. Oh, it'll be above here. Build details. Okay, so okay. Build details content. Here we go. Yeah, and I don't see anything with the class called build details content. Okay, and what are we doing here? Yeah, I think it's the overflow Y auto that's giving it the scroll bar. Okay. Um, so instead of the div, I think I want to style the turbo frame tag itself, or okay, I want to do an experiment here. Do I have to have this div in order for things to work? I don't. Okay, so let's try this. Div class equals build details content container. Okay, and then we'll change this to container. Okay, and that makes it so nothing works, nothing shows up here. That is interesting. What if I just make this a div with no styling? Huh, interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So let me take away all these and just do a border 2 pixels solid red. Okay. That seems to be like what it should. And what if I do that? Okay, now it scrolls. I take away the border. Okay. Now, I don't even know what this like flex grow and display flex were for. Apparently display flex makes it not work, which I can kind of understand. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so there we have this. Yeah, I don't understand the details of why that would make the content disappear, but it might not be a profitable mystery to solve.
Not at this stage, isn't it? Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's like this works. I don't care why the other thing doesn't work because the bug is solved now. At least it appears to be. So now I'm going to run my test and see if it passes. And it does not pass. Okay. Let's do the show browser thing and see if we can see why it's not passing. Okay. The bug is not present So it's apparently not passing just because there's a mistake in the way I wrote the test. So let's see if we can figure out what that is. Okay. Job info container. Oh, okay. Job info container. Okay. Hmm. Okay, so it's checking that job info container is scrollable, but I think what I really want is build details content container. At least maybe. We'll see. Okay, that passes. Um, but if I bring the bug back, does the test fail? Cannot read properties of null. Okay. I guess that makes sense because the element is not present. Okay. Well, I'm not sure that I'm happy with the way this test works, but I think it's fine enough. If it shows itself to be a problem later, we can address it at that time. All right, so I'm going to review my changes.
Can I ask a sideways question?
Yeah.
So, things like this, that we sort of leave unexplored, do you track
Mhm.
them somewhere to be sort of resolved later, or you leave it like that?
Sorry, I don't know if I quite caught everything. These kinds of matters that we leave unexplored.
Yeah, do you track them somewhere, to resolve on a future date, or if it works, it's good enough that's a sort of.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it depends on certain factors. Like um okay, well let's get specific on what we're talking about. Um there were a couple things that we kind of left unsolved. One was the issue where this pane would go totally blank.
Yeah,
Were you referring to that or the other thing or kind of both?
sort of both
Mhm.
actually. Yeah.
Okay, let's take them one by one. Um, with this one where it was going blank, it's like again, there was really no profit in getting to the bottom of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it might have been like we might have learned something new about CSS or something like that, but like my guess is that it would have cost us some time and the fruit that investigation would have borne, I'm
Mm.
guessing would not have justified the cost of the investigation.
Okay, not much value. Okay, understood. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then the other thing with the test, um, for one, I never mentioned this explicitly, but I'm not 100% sure that that test is actually all that valuable.
Ah, got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's a bug that's like fairly easy to notice. And so it's like, okay, I wrote this post a while ago, code with JSON, um, when to not write a test or something like that. Yeah. So there's certain criteria.
Okay, okay, understood. Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to understand your thinking. That's all. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I'll go over this real quick because it's a very common question, and I think these
Mm,
things are important. People ask me like, "Hey, when do you not write a test for something?" Um, and so I ask myself these questions. If the code were to misbehave, would it fail silently? How bad would the consequences be? How frequently would it fail? And how costly is it to write the test? And so in this particular case, with this test that asserts that this pane is scrollable and the nav is sticky, would it fail silently? Kind of, and kind of not. Like I wouldn't notice until I tried to scroll, but like I would try to scroll. Like that's pretty frequent action in the UI doing the scrolling. So I would notice it before too long. Um, so it wouldn't fail very silently. How bad would the consequences be? Not that bad because it's annoying if the header doesn't stay sticky,
yeah.
but it doesn't actually functionally break anything.
Hmm.
How frequently would it fail? Well, it would fail all the time. So that's bad. How costly would it be to write the test? Quite costly. Because this is like a weird test that involves like executing JavaScript in the test and stuff. And
Mm,
it's like, it's kind of a fragile, non-standard test.
yeah, yeah,
And so it's an expensive one to write.
yeah, yeah. Anyway,
And so
well,
it's like,
yeah,
we're good, we're good, we're not good, we're good.
yeah.
And so if you factor all those things together, it adds up to a test of dubious value.
Yeah, yeah, understood. Yeah, but I'm glad I asked that question. I know I took you on a slight tangent, but yeah,
Hmm.
I didn't know that article existed. But anyway, yeah, good for me,
Hmm.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, yeah. And thanks for the question because that's a good question. Okay. Oh, interesting. It failed. Okay. 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 So the system logs, something to do with the system logs controller. Okay. Well, that's the first one that's failed in quite a while. Um, okay. So I'm going to run the tests locally because I suspect that that test will fail locally also.
Okay.
Indeed, we do see a failure. Okay. Unknown format. All right. So what's the file that's failing? System log spec. And I'll run this just by itself. Okay. And as usual, I will just plug this into ChatGPT. And I've said this before, but I'll repeat it. Before ChatGPT, a lot of times when I would encounter an error, I wouldn't even waste any time thinking about what the problem might be. I would just, sorry, I want to find the controller here. Um, API v1 jobs. Okay, I wouldn't even waste any time trying to think about what the problem could be. I would just paste the error message into Google.
Yeah.
And now I use that same principle just with ChatGPT instead. And it's maybe only helpful 60 or 70% of the time, but that's still helpful enough that it's worth trying that first. Okay. Suggests that the request format is not correctly specified and Rails doesn't know how to respond. To fix this, ensure the request includes the correct format. Okay. Updated RSpec test. Now, what is different exactly? I can't tell what's different. All right, so I'll blow this away and I'll paste in this test and I'll do git diff spec. Oh, okay. Interesting. All right, and I think it had another code change. Hmm. No, I don't think that makes sense because then this is what we're really using. We're really using the turbo stream. And if we add this JSON thing just to make the test pass, then the test might pass, but we're not testing the real behavior that we're actually interested in. So that's no good. So I will undo this and let's see. I don't think this is the right controller. Is it? Yeah, it's totally not. Okay. API v1 jobs controller. Maybe it is the right controller. No, it's not. Okay. Okay, system logs controller. Okay. Interesting. It apparently remembered my controller from before because you can see here, that's right, even though I gave it the wrong file. So good for it. Oh, and interesting, it has this JSON, but I don't think we want that unless I'm mistaken. Um, let's see. Yeah, I don't think oh wait, actually, hmm. Let me see. When is this system logs controller used? It gets hit by the API, of course. Okay, maybe I've created a confusing situation and we need to make this less confusing. Okay. So when a test run is running, the system logs controller constantly gets hit as the system logs get added to. It's like some lines get added, and the machine that the jobs run on says, "Hey, SaturnCI API, we have some new system logs. Here's the updated version." And the SaturnCI API says, "Okay." It does not respond to the turbo stream. It responds with just this "okay." So what is this turbo stream thing for? That is because whenever the system logs get update, we want to also update the turbo stream. So for one, I'm gonna go like that because it's like this is the primary response and this is the secondary response. So I think ChatGPT was actually correct and I was mistaken. Um, I was looking at this as I thought ChatGPT was just adding this as something fake because it was confused. But no, this is the real response that the API actually should be giving. And so it's right to hit this because this is a simulation of hitting the API from the job machine. And so that's the right behavior to target. Um, It's just that now that we added this turbo stream thing, apparently the test and Rails or whatever was confused. And so it wasn't giving this response like it should. It was erroneously giving this response. Okay. So I think that solves that issue. Fix format error. Okay. Now we'll see if this run passes. And let's suppose it does. What do we want to take on next? So I suppose what we're after. Oh, yeah, I remember. Okay, so Sanjit, we had added this turbo stream behavior, and I forget if you were present for this session or if it was one of the other time zone ones. Um, but previously, when the logs would come through or the test output would come through, I could sit here and refresh the page and the new logs would show up. But that's obviously a crappy UX to have to refresh the page in order to see new logs show up.
Yep.
I just wanted the logs to stream.
Yep. Yep. I remember you mentioning that. Yep.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and so I added some code to theoretically do that, but I didn't have any tests for it. And so I want to figure out how to write some tests for the streaming. Because if I don't, then the only way for me to test the streaming is to actually commit
Yeah.
and
And
push
running. Yeah.
and sit here and wait for, 4 minutes or
Something to,
whatever.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see how we can do this. So basically what we want is we want to assert that when the job's system logs get updated and then we look at this, we see the new content. That's what we want. So I know what we want to achieve, but I don't know how to achieve that. I obviously know how to visit a page and assert that there's content there. What I don't know how to do, because this is going to be a system spec, because we're going to actually load the browser and assert that the new content is showing up. What I don't know how to do in that system spec is trigger this. Okay, so let's create a new system spec. And actually, maybe I created it already and forgot. Oh, yeah, see? Somehow cause the job system logs to get updated. Assert that we see the updated contents on the page without refreshing. Yeah. Okay. So I'll ask ChatGPT to help me fill out this test. Um, how can I basically hit the system logs create API v1 endpoint um, in the system spec and then assert that without refreshing the page, the updated log content shows up. Oh, and this already passed. We didn't even get a chance to test it manually, but that's why we're writing this test. Okay, interesting. All right, so let's grab this. I'm not even going to closely read it yet. I'm just going to run it. Okay. Undefined blah, 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 API authorization. Okay. So we need to do this differently. And ChatGPT probably got this idea from one of my other tests, but we may not be including this because that's where that helper method comes from. Okay, now it's complaining about driver.post. Okay, I'm gonna give it my updated test since I made that little change. Then I'm gonna tell it about this error that may be just a hallucination on ChatGPT's part. We will see. Execute script seems weird to me. Using execute script for this seems weird and inelegant to me. Interesting. Okay, actioncable.server.broadcast. I'm not familiar with what that is and how it works. Um, Let me see something else. I have an idea. Let's see if I can articulate this idea. So right now, this turbo stream update is tightly coupled to the controller and the API request. Is there a way that I can make it more loosely coupled so that in the test, I don't have to perform the API request? Okay, I'll try to repeat what I just said. Right now, the turbo stream update is tightly coupled to the system logs controller and the API request to the system logs endpoint. Is there a way that I can uncouple the turbo stream update from the controller so that I can write my test without having to involve the API request? Okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Um, I'm gonna do this. Since I'm not familiar with Action Cable at all, I'm gonna say explain this to me. Okay. Send a message to a specific channel in Action Cable, which is the WebSocket framework for Rails. And by the way, I know nothing about WebSockets. This enables real-time updates to be pushed to clients without requiring them to refresh the page. That sounds like what we want. Okay, broadcast. This is the name of the channel. Okay, that seems like an appropriate channel name. Message payload, action append. Okay, I think we actually want replace rather than append. Target system logs. Okay, and let me open up the specific page. So job show. So this is where it was, except maybe not exactly. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to look at system logs, create turbo stream, render current tab name. Okay, and I'm going to look at that action cable command, content system logs, content. Hmm. Okay. What I'm not understanding yet, Sanjit, is how this content of job.system logs makes it from here,
To yeah.
yeah, into the view. Because I'm not saying anywhere in the view like any reference to something that this could be connected to if I'm doing the action cable version. Okay. So, hmm. Okay. I'm thinking I want to I want to take ChatGPT. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, hang on a minute. You know that line number 21.
Oh, ha.
Is that,
Yeah, there we go.
yeah.
Thanks for that. Um, I want to take ChatGPT up on its suggestion, but I don't want to take a giant leap of faith
Hmm.
and have a long period of time where I'm pasting in things that I don't understand and nothing's working and have this like long period of time where I'm just flailing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. So let's, okay, in the spirit of test driven development, let me look at this test. Okay. I do think this test makes sense. So let me update my test with this. And obviously, if I run this, it will fail because um, the page doesn't update automatically. So it seems like yeah, we might just totally be abandoning turbo streams in favor of action cable. Okay, I think I want to do this. Let me open up the system logs controller and I'll say as an intermediary step, let's replace the turbo stream code in the controller with action cable code so that hmm, I'll just say that for starters. Because I think maybe if we just start with that, then that'll be a little bit easier to understand. Okay, so I'll take out the turbo stream stuff. And before I forget, I will delete this file and actually job show. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't losing anything that I wasn't going to be able to remember. Delete. Okay. And does this still work? Yes, it does. Okay. Okay. So we're doing this broadcast. All right. And then when the broadcast happens, how does the page know to update itself? Okay, here's the client side code. It looks surprisingly complicated, but let's take a look at it. Hmm. Yeah, I'm going to say this. The client side code looks surprisingly complicated and un-Rails like.
Bless you.
Yeah, thanks. Sanjeet, in Hindi, what do people say when people sneeze?
I don't, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't come
Oh,
across people saying anything, Yeah.
oh, really? When people
Yeah.
sneeze in India, people just don't say anything?
No, no, nothing.
Hmm. In Chinese, people say "ibai sui," which means 100 years.
Ah,
Saying like,
okay.
I hope you live 100 years.
Ah,
Yeah. Okay. System logs controller. Oh, interesting. Okay. And then that is like almost just as complicated. Okay, let's try something totally different. I'm going to say a turbo stream update can't be triggered from a model. Okay, I feel like I'm flailing a bit at this point. I'm going to switch to Google. Turbo stream update from model. Okay. I don't know if this is relevant or not. Events. Hmm. Streams. Yeah, that doesn't seem like anything I'm interested in. This doesn't seem like it. These results are surprisingly irrelevant seeming. Rails turbo stream update from models. All right, I'll try some of these. Hmm. Man, if I have to do something like really weird and inelegant, I would almost rather do that weird, inelegant API request in the system spec rather than change the application code to be weird.
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say this is unacceptable. Let's go back to using turbo streams and let's hit the API endpoint from the system spec. All right, I could scroll up and find it, but I'd rather have it just show me again. Yeah, and here's the page.driver.post thing again. I'm curious if that's just a total hallucination or if there's any truth to that. So I'm gonna search and see if I can find something about that. Okay, I'm gonna say capybara make API request. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. I don't know if this stuff seems relevant. Okay, so let's at least get back to where we're getting the same error. I'm going to need those authorization headers. So spec controller, um, spec API. Yeah, here we go. Include this helper. And we want this. Oh, okay. It's doing, it already has that. Okay. Okay. Now let's see what this gives us. Does it give us that same error about post doesn't exist? It does. Okay. So we'll remind ChatGPT that that doesn't really exist. In Capybara, are there other simple and elegant ways of invoking an API request? Okay, you can use net HTTP. Okay, let's try this. I will be quite surprised if this works without any modification, but we'll see. Okay, interesting. So this is making a request, but it doesn't include the local host part. Okay. Um, yes. So I'll tell ChatGPT the URL we're hitting is missing the domain, which should, of course, match the Capybara server domain. Okay. So I will replace this with that. I do not know what I just did. Okay. What's it telling us now? Okay, missing template. Feel like we're getting warmer now. Missing partial API system logs, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that to me is a hint that we don't have the content type right. I think we want JSON. Yeah, maybe we can simply change this turbo stream here to JSON. Okay. Well, the test is failing, but it's at least not giving an error. So I'm going to put a binding.pry before the request and after the request. I'm going to do show browser equals true. Okay, so first let's just see if the API request is even working. So we can let the API request go and then refresh the page. And we do see new log content here. So I think if I do this, it'll pass. Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, all right, let's do this. I'm gonna take out these pries and I'm gonna put a pry. Well, let's see. Okay. The API hits this endpoint, but then why would the the view get updated? There's nothing that makes the view get updated. Okay. Here's how the test really needs to be. Um, it's a simulation of the job machine hitting the SaturnCI API endpoint to update the system logs. Right now, there's nothing that says when the job machine hits the SaturnCI API endpoint to update the system logs, update the view. Let's make it so that this happens. Yeah, I think the significant thing here is a turbo stream request is never made to this endpoint. It only gets hit from the endpoint, only gets hit from the job machine, which updates the log content. And Sanjit, if you have to go soon, no problem. But I think I'm gonna keep going for at least a bit more because I feel like we're close to the solution here.
Yeah, I'm going to stay for another 15 minutes or so, then
Okay.
yeah, drop off most probably. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it's having us do action cable. I'm gonna ask it this. Do we have to switch the action cable or can we just make it so that a turbo stream update gets triggered even when um, the format is JSON? Okay, well, if we can do that, then that seems better. Oops, I messed up. Okay. Okay. The partial is system logs log. Okay. Job, blah, 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 system logs. Okay, I'm gonna open up job show. Hmm. Oh, I see. Okay. So this is the partial we want to update. So we want to update this. Okay. Okay, so I don't think we want to give it the log chunk. I think we want to give it the job. So I'm going to tell it about my current views. Here are my current views. The last chunk is this. Um, as you can see, we need to pass it the log object. Whoops, I meant to say job object. Yeah, I think we just want job, not log chunk. Okay, what's this partial? Jobs system logs. Jobs system logs. And is that what it? No, it didn't update it. Um, I don't understand what target is. So I will ask it about that. Oh, but first I'll look at this view. Okay. Turbo frame tag system logs. Um, so right now we have turbo frame tag build details content. Render current tab name. Yeah, so we're rendering like this. Yeah. Okay, so I think ChatGPT is a little bit confused still. I want to update the build details content turbo frame. Current tab name is the name of a partial um let's see. Let's see. Current tab name is the name of the partial. So the turbo stream update should invoke this template and pass the job and only the job. Yeah, let's see what it does with that. Okay, that looks much closer. Okay, so the target is build details content. Okay. And then system logs. Yep, that looks correct. Oh, but we do need to give it the current tab name. Yeah. Okay. Main view update. Let's see. That doesn't look any different to me, so that's good. Modify the system test. Why should I have to do that? I don't buy that. All right. There's one more thing I want explained. What does what does that do? Okay, I'm a bit confused because we have that stream name or whatever, but we don't seem to be referencing it anywhere else. Okay, view setup for subscription. It's called job ID, system logs. Okay. Hmm. Oh, I see. Huh. Okay, apparently I need to put that at the end. Seems kind of funny, but whatever. Okay. Um, let's give that a go, I guess. Let me see. I'll put back in my take this out. Put back in the binding that prize. Okay. Hasn't made the request yet. We'll let it make the request. Hey, it updated.
That is
Wow.
result.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Um, okay, but there is a slight problem. Okay, I'll put back this binding.pry. It's appending the new log content, but it should just be replacing it entirely. So let's address that. But first, let's commit this because this is at least kind of working. Okay, and do we need this? I don't think we do. So I'm going to see if this still passes without it. Yeah, we don't need this. Okay, get log streaming working. Okay, but we want to change this so that not only do we expect it to have the new content, but we'll expect it not to have the old content. Also, I don't see a need for this wait 10. It happens quite quickly. I don't think it's going to time out. Okay. So we can change its streams to something more specific. Like it adds the new content. I might want to improve that further still, but that's fine for now. See if that still works. Yeah. Um, and let's set the job content to something else. Okay, let me see. Um, system logs controller. Okay. So job.systemlogs. System logs original system log content, we'll say. Okay. And we can do this. We'll say context before log update occurs. Expect page to have content, original system log content. And then another context after log update occurs. So we can add a before block here. Say it shows the new content. And we can say it does not show the old content. Okay. So if I did everything right, 2 of the 3 tests should pass and this one should fail, but I'll be surprised if I did everything right. Okay. Yep. In fact, I did not do everything right. It shows the original content. Okay. It's what I would expect. So I'll show this to ChatGPT. Here's my test. Oh, I don't know what this is all about. Okay. Here's my test. Um, here's, oh, we don't want that comment. Here's my controller. Um, here is the error message. We'll see what it does with that. I'm guessing we need to put something here that says something to the effect of do a replace and not an append. Is this different or the same? Looks the same, but it says modify. Oh, we want instead of append to, we want replace to. I don't see what's different here, and it doesn't seem logical that anything should have to change here. Let's just run the test again and see what happens. Okay, interesting. It apparently is still behaving the same way. I'm surprised. So I'm going to do this. Okay. Yeah, it obviously is still there. Maybe I'm just confused about how the DOM is set up. Okay. So, no, it's all in the same stuff. Oh, that's because the controller appends. Yeah. Wait, no, 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 no. Yeah, we're hitting the controller, and the controller appends the log content. Yeah. So maybe it was actually just fine before. Um, my expectation is wrong. I was obviously just going to show the old content. It's it streams the logs, like it shows everything there is. Okay. But what happens if we do append? Does it misbehave somehow? It does misbehave. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. I think it was showing it in a duplicate fashion. Yeah, see, it's showing the original content twice. So I instead want to assert that the original content is not there twice. And I think I can do that by doing count one. Now I would expect that to fail. Indeed, it does. Expected to find it one time, but found it two times. Okay. And then if I change that back to replace two, what happens? Passes. Okay. So maybe some refactoring is in order, but this seems to work. Make it so log content gets replaced instead of appended. Okay. Now, Sanjeev, if you have like 2 more minutes,
Yep.
we theoretically should be able to see this stuff coming up on this page. Just to make the
I-
wait more bearable, I'm going to set my phone timer to 3 minutes. Because if nothing comes up by 3 minutes from now, then we know it's not working.
Yep. We have to try something else.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to open up another tab here and watch the events. Oh, this looks terrible. But if this actually works, that's a pretty big deal. Um, oh, what's this? Oh, interesting. The system logs are coming through on here. Okay, so it doesn't seem to be working correctly. Hmm. Okay, so 14, 17, 48 is the most recent one I see. Okay, we can see logs coming through, but this is not updating. Hmm. It might be um, partly because because it's being too broad and it's like updating all these. Okay, well, it doesn't work yet, but we'll have to save this fix for next time. But we made some progress.
Yep.
Some form of log streaming is working, and we have a test for it. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, Sanjit. Thanks for joining
Okay.
me, YouTube viewer, and see you next time.
See ya. Bye bye.